Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Allison Goldblatt. I'm an intern here at LRT Sports, and we're super lucky to get our first water polo interview. We're talking to Heidi Rittner. She just finished up her fourth year at University of Michigan, where she was a goalkeeper on the water polo team. And because of coronavirus, she missed her last season. So actually, she's going to be using her fourth year of eligibility and competing again next year for Michigan while she tackles her first year at grad school. So it's super cool. And she has lots of advice to offer us about the recruiting process and what it's like to be a water polo player in college. So let's get started. Heidi, would you recommend that high school athletes create a recruiting video or a highlight reel? Do polo coaches typically start the evaluation process by looking at that?
So for me personally, I like being in Southern California, which is where majority of the water polo is. I did not create a highlight reel because a lot of the coaches would be able to show up at our tournaments and actually see us in games. Or I participated in something called ODP, the Olympic Development Program, which was camps from USA Water Polo that we would participate in, and then the college coaches would come and watch some of those practices or camps. But I'd say I'd recommend, if you are in the Midwest or the East Coast, basically anywhere that's not in California, or you're not traveling to California for tournaments that coaches are going to be at, I would definitely create a highlight reel. So I would work with your coach. He or she probably has game footage of you from games, and that's something that's always good to set you apart from other recruits that are trying to reach out to coaches. It'll give them an idea of who you are, how you play, and you might be a good piece for what they're looking for in the team. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that water polo isn't such a big. I'm from the East Coast, and it's not a huge thing up here. So
definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Probably being in California is an advantage in that respect, but like you said, there are ways where if you aren't in California, that you can still get on a coach's radar.
Sure.
So following up on your mentioning of camps, are there any camps that you think water polo players, besides the Olympic development one, should go to get kind of recognition or noticed by coaches?
Yeah, so I know a lot of colleges, during the summer, they'll, especially for women's water polo, they'll actually run a camp with some of their players. So I know we do that in Michigan too. So during the summer, sadly we won't be doing it this year, but I've been a counselor at about a week-long water polo camp, and you get to play for our coaches. So our assistant coaches and our head coach are running the whole thing. So a lot of girls will get recruited from that, or he'll ask people that if they're being recruited to come and play during the camp, if that's something that they're interested in. I know I did that for a couple of different schools when I was being recruited as well in high school, because summer is a really good time when the college teams are not in season. So coaches are mainly focusing on recruiting, and it's also club season, so it's really good for you, for players, because they should you'll be in season, so you'll probably be on top of your game. And so if you have the opportunity to go to an overnight camp or something at one of these universities that you're really interested in, and you get to play for the coach and they get to watch you play and show your skills and for themselves, I think that's really good. And so I know we offer it at Michigan, and that's in the past we have, and that can definitely be a good roadway to being recruited as well.
Awesome. So how and when should high school water polo players start the recruiting process? What year in high school should they start with emails? What do you recommend for that?
I always think sophomore year is a really good year. I definitely think freshman year is too early for a couple of reasons. The coaches can't really talk to you, so you can, be on their radar as much as you want, but you probably won't be as high on the priority list because you are so young. And also because it's your first year in high school, so you have a lot of developing to do, and you probably haven't, reached your peak yet or have that direction quite yet. So I would say sophomore year, when they can start emailing you back, but you should start, I would say, during season of your sophomore year, reaching out to coaches saying, hey, I'm going to be at this tournament on this weekend, or we're, for the Holiday Cup or our CIF, for example, that's like our conference in high school, your league is, having their championships and we're playing in it. They might not be able to respond to you yet, but they might be there. And so you saying, hey, I'm going to be here at this time in this tournament is something that, maybe they can't reach out to you or say that they're going to be there, but maybe they are there watching some other players and they'll come by and watch you as well. So I always say sophomore year is like the best time to like start researching, because then it'll give you a lot of time for yourself also to search and like start understanding what you want to look for in schools and in coaches and in teams. So I definitely think sophomore year is like the best time for water polo.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's just as important to find out what you want versus what the coaches are looking for. And so that's one of the benefits of starting early, because like if you wait till junior year, beginning of your senior year, first of all, there's going to be less opportunity for you to engage with these coaches. And also you're giving yourself such a shorter amount of time to figure out, do I want a small school? Do I want a big school? All that stuff.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So water polo is kind of unique in that, like, due to the NCAA rules, they're only allowed to offer 4.5 scholarships per team, and that's both in D1 and in D2. So that can make it kind of an awkward conversation to have with the coach about scholarship offers, considering the team is so big. How is he or she going to divide up 4.5 amongst all of these people? So do you think that players should initiate that conversation or wait for the coach to bring it up? What's your experience been with that?
I would say, so for me, it was usually at the beginning of the conversations of the coaches saying like, we seriously are, considering recruiting you. And I think I would be honest with them in terms of your financial situations, because they're ultimately like, they're going to have control over, the scholarships that they give out. But not only that, is they can also point you in the direction of other scholarships that you would be able to be eligible for. So I think if, you're honest with them and you're not trying to hide anything, you're not trying to, work for more money or something, and you're just saying, this is where I'm at, this is where my family's at, because everybody's situation is really different. I think that'll help you have a better conversation, more honest and open conversation with the coach, and a better understanding of how he should or she should divide up the scholarships. But I think you should my opinion is to wait for them to initiate that, because if you're a recruit and you come to a coach and right away you're like, I need at least like 75% scholarship, that's kind of a turnoff. And they have a bunch of kids that they're recruiting as well, and if you're a good fit for that program and they're a good fit for you, they're probably going to make it work. Like, they're going to figure out a way to make it work, like I said, if that's through the scholarship, the way that the coach is dividing it up, or if he's going to point you in the direction where you can get scholarships in other ways from different schools, different, programs or applications. But I'd say, coming from a recruit standpoint, I would kind of wait for the coach to initiate that. And then once that conversation starts, then you can be honest in your standing and where you're at financially.
Yeah, I think that's awesome advice, because especially for a sport like yours where there's limited amounts of money, the coaches are going to know that in advance, that like they're not going to be able to offer you that much even if they want to. And so probably if they're a good coach, they know a lot about other scholarship opportunities, financial aid, academic stuff that you might be able to qualify for. And so that's just another thing I agree that you should consider is, first of all, how knowledgeable the coach is and how what other opportunities you have. Because one thing people don't really realize is that, okay, what if you get injured, or what if you hate it? Sometimes it happens and you want to quit. Like, if you're on a lot of money from a swimming standpoint, or I mean a water polo standpoint, or athletic, I guess, you lose all that money when you quit. But if it was academic or financial aid, you wouldn't lose it from not being able to compete in your sport anymore.
Yeah, that's a great point to make. I totally agree with you and all that.
Cool. All right. So what 3 components, or I guess characteristics, do you think a recruit needs to have in order to be a great teammate in on a college water polo team?
I think one thing that first comes to mind for me is putting, being, I guess, I would say like selfless. So you're working on a team sport. It's not an individual sport. It's you're going to be working with all these girls, and you're going to be with them in the pool, outside the pool. You're probably going to be living with them. You're going to have classes with them. So um, having that awareness that you're going to be around these girls all the time, and it's going to be a team effort, and you're not going to be the only person on the team making the whole difference, is something that I think is really important. And sometimes we see that with the recruits that come in. They think that they're going to change the way that the whole team works, and you're like, okay, that's not how it works. The team isn't built around you. You are being recruited to fit into the team as a whole. And definitely at Michigan, that's something that we take very seriously. We call it our circle. And so we put a lot of effort and a lot of education into like our team and how we work dynamics wise, and inside the pool, out of the pool, communication and all that. So I think being selfless and understanding that you're part of a whole team unit is really important. I think also having, like, I want to say a willingness to learn, because water polo is a very mental sport. It's a very technical sport. So you're going to be running plays, and you're going to be working with other people, just like any team sport. There's a science behind it almost. And so coming in and realizing that you're going to have to learn, 20 plays and, they might sound the same, they might seem the same, but, and understanding why you're doing it, for what reasons, because this one might be built for a lefty, or this one might be built for our center, having that educational mindset where you're going to come in and be ready to learn how to work within the unit, because it's not just all based on your gut and feeling and, oh, I'm going to pass the ball here for this reason. There's definitely a science behind it. So that willingness to learn, I think, is really important. And then lastly, I'd say like come in wanting to have fun, because like I said before, like you're going to be around these people all the time, like, at least 4 hours a day for practice, for most, some institutions, it's not always like that. But, when the NCAA says, you can have 20 hours of practice during, the week in season, like you're going to be spending a lot of time with these girls. So I'd be saying, have fun and like build your friendships, because these are going to be your lifelong friends, and also who you spend most of your time with, and who's going to you're going to go through ups and downs with, as a team. And so you want to make sure that you are able to be with the people that really matter to you and that you have good relationships with, because you're going to use them and lean on them for the next 4 years.
Awesome. One question: when I get a message, can you hear the ding?
No.
Okay, good. Because like I got so many texts during that last question,
Oh,
and I was
no, I
like,
didn't hear
oh
anything.
no. Okay, good. All right. So in addition to stats and skills, or I guess what's the most important thing that coaches are looking for? Is it stats? Is it like technique, skills, or is it like swimming speed? Like, or is it different between each player and your position? What's the most important thing to focus on when you're getting recruited?
So I think it's, different for each position, but I like, this is something that our coach always says, and that I totally agree with too, is the number one thing is like coachability. So if you come in and like you're the fastest person on the team, but as I said before, you don't want to learn the plays, or you don't want to change the way your shot is or your fake is, because you're set in your ways, like you're not going to get any better, and you're not going to make the team any better. So you need to understand that you're going to come in and you're going to get coached, and probably a lot of the things that you pride yourself on and that you were really good at in high school are probably going to be subject to change. So just, I guess, expecting that and being willing to work with that, because at the end of the day, they're not saying, oh, your shot sucks or your fake sucks. It's like, well, that's what made you good before, but now we're going to make it even better. And understanding that, maybe you were an attacker on your high school team and scoring all the goals, but now we need you to make the assists because you're faster and you're going to draw the defender, and our teammate who's been, 2 years older than you and been doing this in the system for longer is going to now be like the main shooter attacker. So just like learn it and knowing that like you have to be coachable, because if you're stuck in your ways and you think that you know better than the coach, it's probably not going to end well, and you're not going to enjoy your 4 years there. And it's going to be a rough ride. So I definitely say coachability is like the number one thing.
Cool. Yeah, I think that applies to all different sports.
Yeah.
And is something that people still struggle to learn like towards the end of their careers. It's a great asset if you can be coachable. And your coaches will appreciate it too.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously you played club and high school water polo. To play at the University of Michigan, do most of the athletes, or like most of the water polo players there, were they playing in high school and in club?
Yeah, I would say yes to that. So we kind of have a mix. We are still a majority from like California, just because that's where, the sport is the most popular, but we do have quite a bit Midwest and also international kids. So we definitely, for, across the board, if you were playing in high school, you were also playing in club. For me, I was really lucky in the fact that my high school team was also my club team. So it was kind of like an exclusive club for the high school girls, in hopes that, that once you got to high school, like the club season would help us, give us like a leg up by playing together all summer. But that's obviously not the case, and that didn't really work out for us as well. But I really enjoyed my last year before I went to college. Went and played on a different club. So I think it's the advantage of playing on club in addition to high school is you get to play with a bunch of different girls. So you get to diversify your experience. Instead of just playing like I did with the same 20 girls for 4.5 years, and even earlier than that, like I played my high school's age group club team. And so I was playing with the same people, the same coaches, and the consistency was great. And I loved that. But I also realized the benefit of going and playing with a different club team, because I got to play with different girls who had different styles of play. And for me as a goalie, seeing different people shoot on me, like in practice, was huge. Like I had the same, like I said, 20 girls shoot on me for the past 4 years. And so having other people shoot on me, like that was awesome. And so I know in the Midwest and in the East Coast, the club teams aren't as abundant. But if you commit yourself and you're willing to make those drives, to practice every day or a couple times a week for your club practice outside of high school season, I'd say that's really going to benefit you in the long run, especially if you're looking to play in college.
Awesome. What's the best advice that Coach Leonardi has given you?
I will say this in terms of about recruiting. So I took 3 recruiting trips. I was supposed to take 4. And so Michigan was my third one. No, excuse me. Sorry. Michigan was my second one. And so I came on my trip and I was like, I love it here. I knew him from previously playing on the youth national team with him, and he was my coach. So that made it also more comfortable. But I was supposed to have 2 more recruit trips after that. And I was like, I love it here. Like, I really, really like it, Marcel. And he was like, I'm not going to let you commit on the spot. And he does this to everybody. He doesn't let anybody commit on their recruiting trips, because he says that he wants everybody to go on all their trips that they can see how much better Michigan is. So like you grow to love Michigan that much more. And so I wanted to cancel one of mine, but he like didn't let me. So I went on the rest of them. And as soon as I got home from my last one, I called him and I was like, I want to come. So I would say that's a really good piece of advice for everybody. When you're going on your recruiting trips, go on all the ones that you can, because if you really fall in love with one place, like going to the other places will make you realize how much more you like, the one that think you're going to pick. So, and I would also say too, if the coach is pressuring you to commit on the spot, in my opinion, that's not a good way to start a relationship with your coach. So, but I know everybody's different, and some places have less spots than others. So I understand that in some ways, but for me, I would always recommend going on all your trips, because then you see how much, for me, in my instance, how much more I loved Michigan.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna transition into a fun question to kind of end the interview. So, if you could compete in any other sport besides water polo, what would that be and why?
This is so hard because playing a sport in water is so much harder than playing anything on land. But I always wish that I could play volleyball. I kind of like played around with it in middle school, but nothing ever serious. But it was fun, so I would probably say volleyball. I think I'm tall enough to do it, so I would probably say that. Because I'm terrible at basketball, soccer, anything with like a racket is I'm not coordinated enough for that. So I would probably say volleyball.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in another life.
Yeah, probably not, but maybe.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. You gave such
No
great
problem.
advice that I think would be so helpful for any high schooler looking to play collegiate water polo. So, yeah, just thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having
And
me.
yeah,
And
of
taking your
course.
time to ask the questions.
Okay.
Hopefully this will help somebody out there.
Right. Take care.
Thanks. You too.